You can support me by following my channel.
The ultimate 2JZ-GTE A90 Toyota Supra engine swap you've been dreaming about. Just 400 miles is all it took to determine this modern Toyota Supra needed a classic powerhouse. We couldn't have been any more excited when news broke that Toyota was working on a 5th generation Supra model. With decades of the MK4 chassis overshadowing its older siblings and the tuning community reaching unprecedented heights with the venerable 2JZ-GTE motor, the new version would have some huge shoes to fill. When we found out the engine would be taken from BMW's shelves and a manual transmission wouldn't be an option, at that time, the anger was apparent. Never satisfied. Guys like Mark Chum, owner of a long list of previous and current project cars, some of which have been featured by Super Street, was content with the car's look but also questioned its motivation. Once he got his hands on this 2020 Supra, he had quite a few ideas already swimming around in his head, and he, much like us, wondered what the A90 would feel like with a touch of legendary 2JZ power. Those thoughts of Japanese power didn't have much time to swell, since Mark felt that after just 400 miles on the factory engine, a big change was in order. "I just decided to pull the motor out and swap the 2JZ, he states. The 2-month project turned into 2 years of non-stop R&D. Those 2 years were worth it, as the car is one of my favorites that I own currently. In undeniably elevated company, Mark's Supra was added to a stable that includes an R34V spec, RB26 powered S15, an F12, and more. You've seen some of his previous work with our features on his Sheepy race-powered, wide-body Huracan and Rocket Bunny NSX, the latter of which he mentions a 2JZ-powered A90 Supra in the works. 4-digit power. Finally complete after a few years of ups and downs, the car is working the way that Mark envisioned, and it's making the sort of power that you've come to expect from Toyota's 90s hero, eclipsing the 1000 WHP mark with its single turbo setup. That sort of thing doesn't happen by accident, regardless of what the internet will tell you. The basis for this engine build starts with a stout block comprised of a Brian Crower crank, 10.5 to 1 CP pistons, and Carrillo rods. The ported and polished head, stuffed with a fresh Supertech valvetrain and GSC cams, is locked in place with ARP studs, and the previously mentioned turbo motivation comes by way of a precision 7675 bolted to a custom manifold on one side, with a long sleeper design intake manifold on the other. Plenty of E85 is supplied to ID 2200 injectors by way of a trio of Walbro pumps supported by an aftermarket Industries surge tank. The entire operation is overseen by Link Extreme and sings to the tune of 1060 WHP with 875 pounds-to-foot of torque sent through a 420 Giga Trag transmission. Power X style. Brute force was the goal, but not at the expense of style, with Mark having the powerhouse racing valve cover treated to a candy teal finish before adding titanium hardware. The intercooler piping could have been standard aluminum, but what fun is that when burnt titanium adds some extra spice to the bay. Based on some of his other builds, we expected some sort of wild wide-body conversion, but Mark maintained a sleeker exterior this time around with a carbon fiber aim gain lip kit fitted to the sides and front bumper, a single exit rear diffuser, and a set of EVS tuning fenders with high-pressure relief cutouts formed just behind the front wheels. The rear wing should look familiar, as the carbon fiber arch was taken from the MK4 Supra. Like his other builds, Mark's signature Grigio colorway is used. The fitment and presence of the wheels that fit perfectly at all 4 corners is a result of custom 19-inch Workmeisters. Laced with teal hardware and matching stickers, they were covered with Toyo Prox's R888 that include a 285 in the rear to help harness some of that power. An APG big brake kit features similarly colored teal calipers and hats, which, set against the matte black wheels and Grigio body, make for a stunning combo. Those teal touches continue inside the Supra with Project Mu Sport pedals and shifter, and a Mobile Weld Specialist roll bar that sits just behind carbon Kevlar-backed Bride GS2 seats. Whatever is happening under the hood is relayed to Mark via AIM Sports MXL digital cluster and data logger. The BMW B58 has been shown to make substantial power, and Mark could have easily gone that direction. But for the guy that loves to stand out in a crowd, this mix of old and new proved to be the ideal formula to realize his vision of the perfect A90. Engine, 2JZ-GTE swap, custom engine mounts, Brian Crower 3.0 crank, 10.5 to 1 CP pistons, Carrillo rods, Supertech valve springs, retainers, GSC 278 cams, ported and polished head, 5-angle valve job, ARP head studs, precision 7675 turbo, custom exhaust manifold, downpipe, titanium dump tube X2, HKS exhaust, adjustable cam gears, TurboSmart 44mm wastegate X2, sleeper design intake manifold, 4-row intercooler with custom piping, Walbro fuel pump X3, ID 2200 injectors, aftermarket Industries surge tank, E85, powerhouse racing valve cover, Link Extreme ECU. Power, 1060 Whp/875 pounds-to-foot of torque. Drivetrain, 420 GTE transmission, custom F80 M3 short shifter, Frankenstein LSD, Clutch Masters triple disc clutch, one-piece driveshaft shop axles. Suspension, HKS Hypermax coilovers. Braking, 8-piston APG big brake kit, 380mm rotors. Wheels and tires, Workmeister 19x9.5 front, 19x11 rear, Toyo Proxys are 888 245/35 front, 285/35 rear. Exterior, Inazetec Nardo gray vinyl wrap, carbon fiber aim gain lip kit, single exit rear diffuser, EVS tuning fenders, Sabon MK4 carbon wing. Interior, Bride GS2 carbon Kevlar back seats, Takata harnesses, Vertex steering wheel, Project Mu pedals, shift knob, Mobile Weld Specialist custom roll cage, AIM Sports MXL digital cluster, data logger. Thank you, 412 Motorsport, Our Motorworks, Velocita Motorsport, Enticed Motorsport, Fabchild, Impressive Wrap.